Happy New Year, everyone. I wanted to share a look back at the last 18 years of owning my 2005 Chevy Cobalt SS. I bought the car brand new in May of 2005 when I was 20 years old. I was big into cars while going to college for engineering and had been wanting a domestic car that I could modify. Once I saw Chevy was releasing a boosted tuner car that was marketed as the Corvette's baby brother, I was hooked. My first mods were iBox Sport Lines, GMPP pedals, Airbox mod, and a J-Buddy Performance fuse box cover. As my car was so new, I was one of the first to get the GMPP Stage 2 installed on the car. I had a friend of mine paint the wheels black while working at a body shop, and I got GMPP slotted and drilled rotors as well as some upgraded pads. I also picked up a set of Bridgestone Potenza tires that I got while working at Firestone. From there, I added an InGen cold air intake and GMPP's cooling mods and dual pass end plate. I was still looking for more performance, so I added a 2.8-inch supercharger pulley and 60-pound-an-hour injectors. This was also my first introduction into tuning with HP tuners. In March of 2008, I was in a 3-car pileup on the highway, at which point the car had to get repaired front and rear, and my buddy that owned the body shop two-toned the car for me in nice red and black. I was out of a car for several months while the car was getting repaired, but it was quite a surprise when I showed up to see my baby painted in the classic red and black two-tone that you see in all the pictures recently. The red and black has become a signature of the car ever since then. I had just graduated college and had started working on more and more things. I had gotten involved with the local DFW GM Elite, which was a local area club of multiple Cobalt and other GM car owners. It was around this time that I switched out the Eaton M62 blower for the Harrop TVS supercharger. On pump gas, the car made 297. So naturally then came E85. Converted the car over to E85 with larger fuel injectors. Along the way, I've been gathering lots of parts for a future build of the engine. I had forged rods, pistons, neutral balance shafts, Cometic head gasket, lower end bearings, and a number of other things. I also had a brand new G85 LSD transmission and a ported head from Billabong Ported Heads. At which point the clutch started to slip on me, so I went ahead and pulled the engine for clutch and engine rebuild. ZZ Performance rebuilt the bottom end with their race block, a girdled Gen 1 race block, and then I reassembled the engine. On a 2.8 pulley on the TVS, it put down 373 horsepower. After the engine build, I came across an Auto Power 6-point roll cage that I installed, as well as some other modifications. While the roll cage is extremely valuable for safety, it also makes working on the car very difficult to access anything behind dash panels. On a 2.6 pulley of the TVS, I had reached the limitations of the factory fueling system. The car managed to make 394 horsepower before it leaned out on the dyno. From there, I had to add a surge tank and second fuel pump to the mix, as well as picking up a Nitrous Express nitrous kit and some goodies from PAL Race Parts. I quickly got all this installed and dialed in just in time for the Lone Star Bash of 2014. I had a few good runs at the track, but suffered from shifter lockout issues and then ultimately ended up knocking due to a spun rod bearing on cylinder number 3. I tore down the engine and quickly got to work on the next build. I had the cylinder sleeved, crank lightened and balanced, custom cams with solid lifters, electric water pump, and 56mm turbo. After the build, the car sat for a while I figured out some wiring issues and life got in the way of progress. I was super busy with work and travel, and also in the process of buying a new house. It was during this time that I figured out some issues with the fuel system that were causing reliability concerns. It spent another year while I had the fuel system apart and largely got neglected with other household responsibilities. After this, the car kind of took a backseat to other life priorities until about the time that COVID came around. Over COVID, I spent a lot of time sorting out problems and getting it driving and tuned safe enough to really drive this car like it was meant to be driven. I took several online classes about engine tuning as well as the use of HP tuners and used that to hone my skills while I worked on the car. This year has been spent knocking out the punch list and getting the car ready for race in 2024. I'm looking forward to putting the car on the track and going for some personal records, as well as seeing what can be done to lighten the car as well as improve aerodynamics. I hope you enjoyed this throwback look at the history of my car. If anyone has any questions, feel free and get at me. I hope everyone has a happy and safe new year and look forward to seeing what progress could be made in 2024.